Hi, I'm Dr. Kulreet Chaudhary, integrative neurologist, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you my favorite prime tea hacks. The prime tea isn't great just for the main ingredients, it's also great because it's so versatile and you can customize it to your individual needs. So let's first start with how to make the foundational prime tea. So we've got our 3 seeds here. We have cumin seeds, coriander seeds, and fennel seeds. And you're going to take either half a teaspoon or a full teaspoon of each one of those seeds, depending on how strong you want it. Now you can boil this in 4 to 5 cups of water on the stovetop. This is my first little hack, is I use this electric tea kettle. So I just put the seeds into this little container, connect it back, add my water. I typically do about 4 cups of water. And since I've been drinking this for so long, I like doing a teaspoon of each of the seeds. So I add the seeds in, add about 4 cups of water, and I plug it in while I'm getting ready. My tea is steeping. So that's how I make the foundational part of the prime tea. Next, I'm going to show you all of my little hacks. All right, we're back, and I'm going to go through each one of these prime tea hacks. Now, don't get intimidated when you see all of this. This does not mean that you have to add everything. I want to give you choices so that you can customize your prime tea however you want throughout the year. Now, some of these things I do only certain seasons. Some of these things I will only do under certain circumstances. So again, this is meant to be informative so that you can take control of your prime tea and make it exactly as you want. Let's start with hack number 1. These are fenugreek seeds, and they're wonderful for a host of different reasons. They're great for boosting digestion. They're really, really helpful for reducing gas. And they also help in the treatment of diabetes by normalizing blood sugar levels. When I use this, it's typically if I have eaten something that is vata aggravating and causing a lot of gas. This is usually the thing I go to whenever my husband makes his taco salad, which always produces a little bit of gas. So I'll add some fenugreek seeds, again, either about half a teaspoon or a teaspoon, depending on how much I need, to my prime tea on the days that he makes his taco salad. Let's go to our next hack. These are cloves. Now, cloves are also excellent for digestion. They're also really great for oral health. So if you tend to have issues with oral hygiene, you can always add 1 clove into your prime tea. I used to use these in the past on a regular basis because I had gotten giardia during a trip to Africa. And after that trip, I noticed that I would have tendency towards gut dysbiosis. So I used to use cloves every once in a while just to help regulate my gut flora. But for some reason, over time, I kind of grew out of the need of that. So I don't use this anymore, but you can certainly use it if you have a tendency towards gut dysbiosis. Just simply take 1 clove is usually enough. You don't need a lot of cloves. Just add 1 clove into your prime tea recipe, and you can decide how often you need it. Sometimes people need to do it every single day until they notice some relief from the symptoms you might be experiencing from gut dysbiosis, such as constipation or bloating or spasms, painful spasms in the GI tract. So just use it until you start getting relief. And then as a maintenance, you might want to do it just a couple of times a week until you know it's absolutely gone. And that's exactly what happened to me. One day it was just absolutely gone and I stopped using it. Our next hack, this is one of my favorite things to add, and I still add this from time to time. These are cardamom pods, and these are the green cardamom pods. And they're not only extremely aromatic, oh God, I love that smell. For anybody who loves the smell of chai tea, this is usually the smell that you're picking up, is the smell of cardamom in there. But cardamom pods are great for fighting sweet cravings. So I will typically add these if my vata is high or during vata season, which is fall and early winter, because that is when my sweet cravings tend to start going up. So starting in late September, I'll start putting 1 cardamom pod into my tea to help me battle those sweet cravings naturally. Next, we have 2 ingredients which oftentimes you can put together, and these are specific ingredients for boosting Agni, which is your digestive fire. Ginger, which is my go-to food for boosting Agni, as well as lemon. I love these little lemon. My mom brings these. She gets them from her neighbor's yard, and they are just so potent, even though they're so tiny. So the ginger, you can just cut off about 1 inch worth. And again, you can tailor this to your individual needs. But what I will do if I need to boost my Agni, like if I'm starting to notice that I'm getting sick, or if I'm about to travel or I'm just coming back from travel, those will be times that I will introduce ginger into my prime tea. So cut about 1 inch worth, and then I like cutting it into slightly smaller pieces because it becomes more potent, and just drop it into your tea as it's being made. Now for the lemon, this is a pretty small lemon, so you can just simply cut this open, and once the tea is made, you can just squeeze the full lemon. This is so small, you can squeeze the full lemon. If you're using a normal size lemon, maybe just start with half a lemon. The beauty of the lemon is, yes, once again, it boosts Agni, and that's wonderful. But the lemon also helps to take away kind of the strong taste of the tea. I personally love the taste of the tea, but again, I've been using it for, oh gosh, over a decade now. But for people who find the taste to be a little strong in the beginning, you can just squeeze a little bit of lemon, and it helps get rid of the strong taste. All right, so what do we have next? One of my favorite hacks is Manjistha powder. That's this beautiful red powder. And Manjistha is a wonderful cooling and drying herb. And because it's both cooling and drying, it is fantastic for helping to fight fake fat. So what is fake fat? Fake fat is water that's accumulating in your body due to backed up lymphatics. And so it looks like fat, but anything that you do that you would normally do to reduce fat will not work for fake fat at all because it's water, it's not fat. Manjistha, however, will help to get rid of that fake fat because it's cooling and it's drying. And this water is typically inflammatory weight. So people who have a pitta predominance usually will develop fake fat. So for Manjistha, again, everybody's needs may vary. You can start with just a 1/4 teaspoon and see if that does the trick. It's very, very drying, so if you have excess vata, just use it cautiously. But you can go up to a 1/2 teaspoon and see if that's enough, and if that's still not enough, you can go all the way up to a full teaspoon. Now, this is not something that I will use on a regular basis. I will only use it from time to time if I'm doing a detox and there's lymphatic accumulation, or sometimes in the summertime when pitta rises and I'll notice a little bit of fake fat accumulating. So it's just something I will add on under certain circumstances or particular times of the year. Next, we've got cinnamon. I've got 2 forms. We have the powdered form as well as the cinnamon sticks. And I'll go back and forth between using either the sticks or the powdered form. The powdered form tends to be a little bit stronger. The sticks tend to be a little bit milder. And you just, again, drop the sticks in when it's boiling, or you can add a little bit of cinnamon powder. Now, cinnamon also helps with boosting Agni, but it is specifically good for helping with the treatment of diabetes. In fact, many supplements now give high doses of cinnamon to help lower blood sugar levels for those that are combating diabetes. I just love the taste of cinnamon. I wish I could tolerate it more. Since I have so much pitta in my physiology naturally, I cannot use a lot of cinnamon. So I will add a little bit during the winter months when the temperatures start cooling down and I notice that I'm starting to get a little chilly. So at that time, I can add for my physiology about a 1/4 teaspoon. If I do more than a 1/4 teaspoon, I'm burning up, which is why I can't go more than that. But again, experiment for yourself and see which dose do you tolerate. Now, if you're predominantly Kapha, you will tolerate more. If you're Vata, you'll tolerate intermediate amounts. So use it and then see, are you experiencing too much heat, or is it just the right dose to get the results you want, whether that is for boosting Agni or reducing your blood sugar levels. All right, so all of the things up front are my Pitta hacks, and the first one is Amla powder, and you can see how low it is because I cook with Amla almost every single day, so I'm always running out of Amla powder. So Amla powder is a rejuvenative spice. It is one of the key herbs for just maintaining health, and that is why I cook with it every single day. But for Pitta people, it is one of the most important spices to use to help cool them down. And that's why I've got this up here for all of my Pitta reducing hacks. So with Amla, depending on how much Pitta you have, you can add either a 1/4 teaspoon of the Amla powder or 1/2 teaspoon. Give it a try and see what works for you. As I said, I cook with Amla every single day because when I cook with Amla, I'm using heating spices like mustard seeds in my cooking, and so Amla helps to balance all of that. In the summertime, I will add a little bit of Amla into my prime tea if I'm starting to get overheated. That's one of my first go-tos. The next one is dandelion root, and I just love this. And you can take this even outside of your prime tea, but when you add it to the prime tea, it gives you kind of a coffee flavor. In fact, dandelion root is used quite a bit as a coffee substitute. And I use 2 variations of the dandelion root. This is the powdered version, and this is the easiest because it just completely dissolves when you add it in. But I also like using the actual root, and that tends to be a little bit hardier, and a little bit like the cinnamon sticks where the small pieces are pretty hard. And so you just add those in while the tea is boiling if you want to use the root, and then you just strain it out when you're using the seeds. I like using the powder just because it dissolves and it's a little bit faster. So this is another wonderful addition for those who are predominantly Pitta, because dandelion is so great at detoxifying the liver. And that tends to be one of the organs where Pitta can kind of get accumulated. In fact, when you get too much Pitta in your liver, that results in some of the Pitta associated mood issues like getting irritated and angry. And so this is a great way to take that excess heat and pressure out of the liver. And that's why I love using this. I oftentimes will use this year round from time to time just to simply give my liver that extra support, but definitely I will add it into my tea in the summertime. And again, it's delicious. It tastes like coffee. For those of you who love coffee and are trying to get off of it, dandelion is a wonderful substitute. Now, usually with the dandelion, I will add chicory. Now, I wanted to show you just the extract version of the chicory because there are extracts for both the dandelion and the chicory, as well as the powdered forms. And sometimes I'll use the powdered form of chicory, and sometimes I'll just simply add the extract. And so for the extract, you just take a dropper full, and once your tea is completely done, you can just squeeze that in and you're getting the benefits of the chicory. Now, chicory is also helpful for Pitta when your pancreas tends to get inflamed and exhausted. It's a wonderful treatment for just boosting pancreatic function. So this could also be used for people who have diabetes or have pancreatic insufficiency, anything that is required to help support the overall function of the pancreas. So these are my kind of routine go-tos for the prime tea. And this is why my kitchen is really a pharmacy, because depending on what my needs are, depending on what's going on with the seasons, I go straight to my kitchen to figure out, okay, what kind of support does my body need right now? So just knowing what these different things do and then choosing the ones that you feel are going to be relevant for you and then stocking them in the kitchen allows you to personalize your prime tea so that it's providing everything you need year round as a basis for your overall health. This is the beauty of the Prime Tea. You can use it year-round, but you can also personalize it, so it's exactly what you need. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love sharing different things that you can do with the Prime Tea because it's been such an important part of me maintaining my health as well as my family's health. And so it's something I hope that you bring in to your family's kitchen as well. I'm Dr. Kulreet Chaudhary, wishing you health and happiness.